My name is James Bond, one of the founders of Undefeated. I chose my existing career for multiple reasons, but the main one kind of by default. I fell into it. I had another business, men's clothing store called K-Bond that I started in 1999. At the time, Los Angeles really wasn't ready for men to wear suit and ties. It was like a men's haberdashery. Business failed, but in that process I met some people from Nike Europe that kind of led the way to Undefeated, which now 15, 16 years later, we're still here. So, my dad had a store in Philadelphia in the 70s. It was called Kicks and Lids. And that was off of another, again, a clothing store that he and his friends had, and they sold sneakers and Kango hats in the late 70s, early 80s. And they did that really until kind of the fashion trend changed. Foot Locker and Athlete's Foot at the time kind of ran them out of, the small guys out of business. I grew up outside of Philadelphia. My parents were I'm the product of a mixed race relationship. Dad's black, mom's white. I grew up in a small rural town that really wasn't, they weren't really big on what we were at that time. I don't blame that. I kind of blame the fact that our family probably wasn't evolved enough to kind of pivot and work in that. It kind of fueled my fire to be successful. So first opportunity I got, I left. That was right maybe a week or two after graduating high school. I went back to Philadelphia, kind of got back to kind of that mix of people that, you know, for good or bad, I think you kind of learn to adapt to all the different people and move on. I kind of really looked to self-educate and find that mentor. Somebody that I could work with that could help me along the way. I think you always have to be moving forward, never sideways or backwards. So I had this parallel because I was really interested in music and design. So I interned, learning how to do graphic design, and then I worked at Tower Records. Tower Records kind of took off because my boss there liked me. We had a good relationship, so he became another mentor. Quick chase, I ended up in Los Angeles with some friends from Tower Records. In turn, worked at Nana, shoe business, fell into that job. But again, it was still design-based, it was sales, it was business. My boss there, Lynn, took a liking to me, liked my hard work. Fashion business changed, Nana's business changed. I ended up coming back to New York City with a friend of mine who I worked with at Nana. He was an actor. Sitting on the stoop, having a coffee, his friend came up, they were talking. He said, hey, we're looking for some PAs. I said, oh, of course, I could do that. It was Biggie Smalls' first video. I was on Biggie's video 2 days in New York City. So the director and I had a conversation. I didn't look like everyone else that was on the site. Turned into working for this director as his PA, turned into his art director, met now who's still one of my closest friends and one of my biggest mentors, a production designer who brought me on his crew, and then I became his art director. And then for 5 years straight, we did every music video, hip hop, commercial. We were the biggest non-union crew in New York City. I decided I wanted to go back into retail, open my own stores. So I formed a business plan, talked with my father-in-law, who was a very successful businessman, an entrepreneur as well. He was one of my biggest business mentors because of his I don't really care attitude. It's like, I'm going to do what I want to do, what's best for my life. When Nike opportunity came, we took it, partnered with Eddie Cruz, who's my partner to this day. We built the first Undefeated in Los Angeles, a well-curated sneaker business. Undefeated comes from something, rooted in sports. It's rooted in the fact that both my partner and I are from the East Coast, and we've been participating in this culture since we were teenagers. My advice would be to have a plan, and have a plan from not just a business plan, but a life plan. What is it do I want my life to be? What do I want people to see? What do I want people to know about me? Because you can live in the shadows and be very successful and really be impactful. You can be out in front and be successful as well. It's what do you want your life ethos to be about? Because from there, you can build a lot from that. There's a lot, it's like a tree, right? What is your foundation? What is that main trunk going to be? And from there, you have multiple branches.